Hello and welcome to the Movie Power Ranking Show. I'm your host today, Gabe Alexander, and with me, as always, is Mike Romick. Mike, you there?
I sure am.
All right, today's show, we are going to discuss our top 10 movies of the pandemic years. So that would be, first we're going to do 2021. Mike and I are going to share our top 10 lists. If we have repeated movies, Mike, we'll just, say that's a repeat and we'll both discuss it. And then we'll do a quick review of 2020, it being a pandemic year as well. And since Mike and I have been off the air for a while and we're just getting back into the Movie Power Ranking show, we'll catch up and do a quick 2020 recap. So. And then lastly, we'll just conclude and we'll tell you guys what's coming up for next week's show. So, Mike, are you first though, Mike, I have errors and omissions on my list, and the one thing I had an error last week, we were talking on our Oscars recap show, I mentioned a movie that Chris Rock was involved with in, and I said Bad Hair, and my error was it's actually called Good Hair from 2009. It is a documentary that Chris Rock was involved in, and the movie Bad Hair was a 2019 horror film that keeps getting recommended to me by Hulu. Mike, do you have any errors or omissions from our Oscars show? Anything that you missed there that you might want to just add today?
I have one, but also a connection to you. There's also an animated feature about hair that was nominated for an Academy Award, a short, not a feature, an animated short. So that's three sort of features about black hair. My correction is odd. I mean, when I listened to it, it just came off sort of wrong. I mean, when I was talking about the honorary people, none of them had actually won Oscars, and then the implication was when I was talking about Samuel L. Jackson that he had won for Pulp Fiction, which of course sadly he did not. He was nominated. He won a nomination for Pulp Fiction, but that was his only nomination. But again, it was just oddly phrased by me. So again, just correcting it that, he did not win for Pulp Fiction. And I think that's about it that I'm aware of. Unless somebody lets us know something else.
Sure. Okay, well, let's move on then to 2021, our top 10 movies of the year. I don't know about you, Mike. Mine are in no particular order.
Well, I was thinking, how do I do it? And I finally decided that for the 2021, I went in alphabetical order. And then just to be different, in 2020, I went in the order chronologically, not necessarily how they were released, but how I saw them. But like I said, my 2021 are in alphabetical order.
Okay. And again, if we have a repeat, Mike, we'll just say that that's a repeat, and we'll just discuss that. And then,
okay.
We'll each say our top 10s, at the end. And then, so everyone can, if they're keeping score at home. And then we'll do our honorable mentions and worst ofs, if you have any, for that, for 2021.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Okay.
I definitely do.
All right, Mike, why don't you kick it off? Give me a movie on your top 10 for 2021.
Being the Ricardos.
Okay. It's not a repeat for me, so go ahead. What do you got to say about that?
Okay. I mean, there was a whole lot of, angst about, Nicole Kidman being chosen and, because it was Cate Blanchett who backed out and all this. And, there was lots of, bad press, let's say. And then it came out and, she ended up, winning, the Gold Globe and, she was nominated for a bunch of things, including the Oscar. And she was wonderful. Javier Bardem was wonderful. J.D. Simmons was great. The woman that played Ethel was wonderful. And, the expectations were just, as such. And again, old enough to be a big I Love Lucy fan, not in the original, but in the syndicated reruns. But again, I had reservations. I like Aaron Sorkin a lot, but again, I thought, well, I don't know about this. And, it was probably a good move to go to streaming. I don't know if that would have done much at the box office. But, again, I enjoyed it thoroughly. And other than him condensing 3 major events into 1 week, I mean, more or less, being a pretty big I Love Lucy fan, I didn't see anything really wrong. And I thought the cast was great. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And I think it was on the Oscars, someone was griping about there was no laughs. I mean, not necessarily the story they were telling to recreate. They did recreate some Lucy sketches and things, but still, it was not very well done considering that it was, a challenge to begin with.
Okay.
What's your choice?
I like Being the Ricardos, just to add on to you really quick, but I don't know. I may not be the audience for that movie. I mean, I like
Correct.
I like Aaron Sorkin. I like to usually check out his movies, but I have one of his on my 2020 list. So.
Me too.
Okay, so I'll have I usually do I usually include a documentary and an animated movie on my top 10 list, just to kind of be diverse in the categories. So I have my documentary is The Rescue this year. It wasn't nominated for an Oscar, and we both have just had our ponderings of why or why not, and so I just wanted to highlight that movie. It was the best documentary I saw all year, and it just it hits you to your core. It's emotional, and it's just a kind of tragic but also triumphant story about a young child soccer team. They get trapped in a cave, and the cave floods, and they're trapped basically on high ground in this just kind of like pocket of this cave, and it's terrifying and just exciting and just, like I said, emotional, and so I really like The Rescue, and that you can check out on Disney Plus.
I couldn't agree more. I thought it was the best documentary last year, and how it was not nominated despite winning many awards, it's just beyond me. Now, I did a little something different. I had a little mini list of the documentaries. I actually had 4 documentaries on my sort of best documentary list, and then on my animated, I had pulled it out as one best animated. Again, whether that's fair or not, I don't know, but that's just the way I did it. So, whenever I'd had The Rescue as the best documentary, and then 3 that were also terrific: Ascension, Summer of Soul, and Attica. All wonderful documentaries. And the other 3 all nominated for Academy Awards, with Summer of Soul being the winner. But no, Rescue, I couldn't agree more. And so on my documentary list.
Okay. Well, we've covered your documentary list there then. You're kind of, you got a top 10s for all kinds of your categories there. So, okay.
I cheated there. Sorry.
Yes. Mike, there's no rules here. You can make up whatever rules you like. So.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Give me another one off your 10. For
I had Belfast.
Okay. I don't have Belfast on mine. I've yet to see it. So.
Yeah. No, a wonderful movie. I mean, technically wonderfully done, beautifully shot in black and white. The entire cast right down the line, perfect. And again, a heartfelt to Kenneth Branagh directing and writing about his youth. And again, the kid amazing. And, kid actors can be a little too cute and, but no, he was terrific, and as was everybody. And it just, you really felt it. Again, and there was a little backlash against it that, it was too familiar. Well, I don't know, maybe a little familiar, but again, so well done. You just got wrapped up in their story, and no, I thought it was wonderful. I'm so happy that Kenneth Branagh finally got an Oscar for his original screenplay. What's your next choice?
Okay, next up on my list, I have Spider-Man: No Way Home.
I also have that on my list, so go ahead.
Okay, I'll go and then you go. So Spider-Man, a Marvel movie. Sony also attached on this. They own Spider-Man. But I just thought it was very creative. I like to kind of again give nods to some genre movies in my top 10 list, fantasy, sci-fi, horror. So Spider-Man made it on my list. I know it was very popular with audiences and even critics. And I just like seeing, spoiler alert, but everything, all the characters coming back from the Raimi movies and the Andrew Garfield movies, and I had a lot of fun with it. It was probably the most fun I had, at the movies all year. If that sounds cheesy, but I really enjoyed Spider-Man. So check it out. I've pre-ordered it. So it's coming out on 4K next week on Tuesday. It's April 12th. So, that's what I got to say about Spider-Man. Like, what do you think, and why did
I agree wholeheartedly. I saw it twice at the movie theater and I had a good time. I just had a good time. And again, shockingly, with 10 nominees, they couldn't squeeze that in. As far as reviews were great. Again, it was like, did it make too much money that they didn't want to nominate it? Again, it's insane. I mean, that's what 10 nominations was supposed to do, open it up to movies that, might not normally be nominated, something that would be, not necessarily a popular movie, but something that people would had seen and liked. And it wasn't like they're going in there with something that got terrible reviews. It got wonderful reviews. And, no, I had a good time. And like you said, that's something to be praised. I mean, I like lots of depressing and sad movies and troubling movies, but again, a good time is nothing to be looked down on.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was for that reason, and it's just too bad. So.
Yeah, and since this is our pandemic show, I mean, this is a product of the pandemic, and I think you can kind of see it in the production of this movie. A lot of the characters are isolated in scenes, where it's just the main cast trying to, stay away from extras and all that. If you notice that when you rewatch the movie.
No, to be honest, I didn't. I mean, you're probably right, but I was so wrapped up in the movie, didn't become something that I noticed that was concerned me.
Yeah. So no, very good, and and to get that done during the pandemic years. I mean, so yeah, I thought it was a good success, very big success. So, all right, moving on, Mike. Let's get another one off your list.
Early, everyone forgot about it. Wonderful reviews. I loved it. The Card Counter from Paul Schrader. Did you see that, Gabe?
I didn't see that. No. And that's with Oscar Isaac.
Yes, Oscar Isaac. And over the years, I've had many problems with Paul Schrader. I'm not a big Taxi Driver fan. I mean, different things. I mean, he continually worked, despite not having big hits. And I've liked some of his things. The performances are very good. But with First Reformed, his first Oscar nomination in a very long career, was wonderful. And he got first screenplay nomination. And then The Card Counter, reviews were wonderful. And it just was a very exciting. It was one of those movies where you get to shortly into the movie, you don't have a clue where you're headed. And it was, there's lots of movies about gamblers, but again, this was something special. And again, cast right on the money, good, technically wonderful, and just released too early to, and even on 10 Best and things, people forgot about it, even though the reviews are terrific in general. And like I said, I recommended it to people, and I don't know one person that saw it, because it sort of came and went in a big hurry, and didn't make a big splash on Blu-ray or DVD, 4K, whatever. But no, I recommend it very highly.
Yeah, I will definitely check that out. I'm on an Oscar Isaac kick since Moon Knight has started, and I caught Triple Frontier on Netflix, which he's in, with Ben Affleck and stuff, and I enjoyed that. So I might have to watch that now because of Oscar Isaac run on my list. So. Okay,
what's next for you?
I'll pick one off my list next. I have Dune, the Timothée Chalamet starring Denis Villeneuve directed sci-fi movie based on a novel, Frank Herbert's Dune, and We had, I know you're not a fan of the David Lynch, but the David Lynch Dune holds a spot in my heart. And this, I wasn't, incredibly excited for this movie, but when I saw it on HBO, and I think you can catch it on HBO Max now, but I just thought it was a quality movie, a well done all around, acting, directing, the production, some of the special effects, but I think it looks great. I mean, the shots, there's shots in there of the cities and just the landscapes, just incredible. I loved it, and I think we're getting Dune Part 2 now, and no, I think it's successful. Yeah, successful at the Oscars, won a lot of the technicals. And so, is Dune on your list, Mike?
No, Dune isn't on my list, but again, I went back to it. I saw it. I wanted to see it on the big screen when it first came out. And I was, not a fan of the David Lynch, as David Lynch is not a fan of his own movie. I mean, he thought it was taken away from him and he wanted his name removed. And they put different stuff back in and played it on TV. And then, of course, nobody talks about the William Hurt television version, which was supposed to be a correction to that. And nobody hardly mentions it. I did not see that. I tried to read the book several times, just found it difficult to get through. And, but I went back to it before the Oscars with all the nominations. I thought, well, maybe I missed something. And much as I hate to admit it, I did like it much better the second time through, even though it was on television. I mean, or HBO Max. And, cast generally very good. The special effects amazing. Like you said, it created a world there. And, no, I like I said, I liked it much better the second time through. I still had some problems with, our director there loves those filters, and whether it's the Arrival or different things, he uses he loves the blue-gray filter, which believe it or not, on television didn't bother me so much. But again, people comparing those desert scenes to Lawrence of Arabia, no, I don't think so. Again, he loves those orange yellowish filters, and Lawrence of Arabia, you wanted to feel the heat and the sand. Well, you felt that in Lawrence of Arabia without orange yellow filters, but a minor detail considering my opinion of it went way up when I saw it the second time, and I'm looking forward to part 2.
Yep, we'll see. Okay, Mike, let's get another one off of your top 10 list.
The French Dispatch from Wes Anderson.
Okay, that's going to be a repeat for me, so go ahead.
Again, it is not for the uninitiated. I mean, there's people that hate Wes Anderson, and then there's people that love Wes Anderson. Well, I'm on that loving list. I mean, it's just a true treat as far as the amazing cast, lots of famous people in little parts that are perfectly cast, and the detail on the sets, and it's just a lot of fun. And I'm back in the day, I subscribed to the New Yorker when Pauline Kael was there and read it faithfully, certainly not cover to cover, but again, I was familiar with what he was doing, this homage to the magazine, and again, as such, it was an absolute delight. But boy, I would not recommend it to someone who really, doesn't like Wes Anderson. It is for the initiate for Wes Anderson, and as such, you will love it. If you don't like Wes Anderson, you are not going to like The French Dispatch.
I mean, I think you've covered it there, Mike. I don't know what much more I can add. I mean, you're going to see there's a bunch of stars in this movie, and it's kind of typical Wes Anderson. They're not in it for very long, but and this is also episodic, which you're getting kind of 3 different stories here. And
little sections like out of the magazine, because in the magazine,
like magazine articles come to life, I guess is the best you could describe it. Out of a kind of like an eccentric magazine, like that. Not as familiar as you, but yeah. No, I'll just you said it all there. So,
what do you have next?
Okay, I'm gonna do mine. I have Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Wow, okay.
Just wanted to put this on for several reasons. Just the vast improvement on the original theatrical. This was something that, there was a movement behind this movie, and I know a lot of people don't have it on their top tens. I don't think it was eligible for Oscars, but I just wanted to highlight this movie, just as the achievement it is. I mean, it's just so much improved on the original, and this is where this movie it hits you more. You feel the emotion in it more. The action is so much better. The action means so much more than in the original. And even without seeing the original Justice League, directed by, Joss Whedon, because, Zack Snyder stepped away from that film after the death of a family member, but, Joss Whedon came in and finished it off, and just, it was, I think that movie
finished it off. Yeah, he finished it off all right.
Yeah, that movie's a mess. It's, this is, who would watch that movie now over this, now that we have the Zack Snyder cut? So, no, I know. I think we did this, Mike, and during the pandemic, we sat down for the 4 hours and watched this on HBO.
4 hours just flew right by. It's on my honorable mention list. Again, the first one was so terrible. The second one, the way it should have been done, wonderful. They could have never released it at 4 hours. They wouldn't have done it, so it was fortunate that it went to streaming. And again, I mean, it was like a completely different movie to me, and I enjoyed it. I mean, we had a great time. I mean, and like I said, how many movies go over 2 hours and you're going, is it over yet? And this was 4 hours and you were with it all the way. And, technically dazzling, and I mean, really a different movie. The only thing I can even remotely compare that to is Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in America, which of course originally had, God knows there's many different, at least 4 different versions that I'm aware of. But of course the one that was originally released in the United States was 2 hours and, I don't know, I'm going to say 20, 25 minutes, and just was an absolute mess. I mean, and I was a huge Sergio Leone fan, it was a mess. And then they released on, God forbid, video cassettes back in the day, the uncut. And I rented it, and I thought, well, okay, let's see what, all these people in Europe were saying was so wonderful. A completely different movie, totally restructured, characterizations that weren't in the first one. I mean, and it was a fabulous movie. I have one that I haven't ripped the plastic on that, runs even longer. I mean, it comes up to, I think it's almost 4 hours. And again, it's like, that's fine. The more the merrier on that. I mean, but again, there's so few movies that, you have these director's cut, and sometimes, is the footage necessary? I mean, you look at, the Apocalypse Now Redux. I mean, it's like, do we need those scenes? No, not really, but it's good to see them because you heard about them for so long. But again, it becomes something different and so much better.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's get one from you, Mike.
Okay. Lunana Yak in the Classroom. I think it's A Yak in the Classroom. Never heard of this till it was nominated for foreign film. But lo and behold, it pops up on Kanopy, which is a wonderful streaming service that's free if you have a library card. Thousands of movies. Oh my God! In my list, I'm approaching 300. That I want to watch it, and it's free. And I thought, well, I want to watch this. To my knowledge, never got a release that I'm aware of. I never read a review of it, nothing. I watched it. It was wonderful. I mean, I read someone after, they were talking about the Oscars, and they said, well, it's such a crowd pleaser. Like, that's a bad thing. I mean, yes, it's a foreign film about a teacher who ends up going up in the mountains and having to teach kids in this little teeny little village. And you say heartwarming and people go, ugh. Yeah, well, yeah, heartwarming. You got Coda and people go crazy, but other than certain times it's a foreign film or something heartwarming, they don't want to hear it. But again, I was with it every step of the way. It was fun. It was heartwarming. It was intelligent. I mean, you felt for everyone in the movie, and a lot of them were, certainly not actors, people who had never seen the movie before in their life. And no, it was terrific, and I hope people can get a chance to see it. And, if you don't belong to Kanopy, sign up for Kanopy for free, and it's on there.
I might have to check that out. You told me how to get the library card. You can, I think, even do it online and get your library
Now, the
card and
bigger the
sign up for
library
Canopy.
you connect with, the more, I didn't realize that, the more access you have to different films, because I guess if you have a smaller city, you can still get Canopy, but I guess you don't have access to as many films as you do. So I have a library card with the Cleveland Public Library, and of course, so many movies. The only gripe I have is the organization. They might have it on Oscar nominations or dramas or something, but once you get in there, it's not alphabetical, whatever. I mean, you can search for things, but I've gone through list after list after list, and I like that. But again, the organization could be a little better, but I don't care. It's free and it's fabulous. They letterbox, they're uncut. I mean, just amazing. Commercial over.
All right. Mike likes Canopy. And I mean, again, as you were seeing the power of streaming, with Zack Snyder's Justice League, you have options. You have different format, a different way to present a film. So, okay, I'll get one off here. I have Pixar's Luca. Recognizing an animated film. So I liked Luca when we picked it, did our Oscar picks. Luca was, my pick as far as who I'd like to see win. And, I know there's a lot of love for Encanto, and I just like Luca better. I like the fantasy element in it. I like the characters in that. The Vespa, craziness I liked, and just, I thought it was fun and looked great, and, just good for kids and adults. So, my animated movie this year was Luca.
I couldn't agree more, and that I had a separate thing as Luca, the best animated, and I mean, it was just enchanting. The use of color. I mean, there's all sorts of Easter eggs about Italian movies, and in something. I mean, it's so many movies, whether it's Soul or Inside Out, and movies that I liked very much. Even Coco and Encanto. There's things that I'm thinking. Kids there's some issues there. I mean, nobody mentions that. There's Soul is about some dark things in there. I mean, good movie or not, it is. It is a good movie. But again, with Luca, I mean, I think kids can watch that, and just have a great time. And again, it's a lot of fun. And it's like fun is not something it's not serious enough for you. I mean, but no, I just had a great time. I bought it. I just loved it. I mean, I can access it any time, but I wanted to have it with the extras. So no, Luca was terrific.
Okay, Mike, let's move on. Get one of yours in here.
Parallel Mothers, Pedro Almodovar and Penelope Cruz. Can you beat the pair? I mean, the only thing was missing was Antonio Banderas, and then you would have had quite the movie. But again, it was a wonderful movie. Again, just almost heart-wrenching, but it cast perfectly. And, sometimes Pedro Almodovar, you again, have liked most things. Every once in a while he makes a mistake here and there, but, in general, just a terrific filmmaker. And, again, really on the money here with two women who both different kind of generations, who both have a baby, and let's say things don't go as each have a baby, I should say, and that things don't go quite as planned. But again, another movie where you just don't see where that's headed, and he takes you someplace amazing. And like I said, I was so happy that Penelope Cruz was nominated for the Academy Award. I mean, I would not have a problem if she would have won. I think she would have been my choice. But yeah, again, one of Pedro Almodovar's best.
Yeah. I wonder if Criterion will get it. I don't. It's hard to see that movie. I think you can rent it now, but no streaming on that yet. Or I don't know if there's a Blu-ray release even of that. So
yeah, because that's like the worst person in the world is going to go right to Criterion to start with, and they have Criterion has a lot of Pedro Almodovar, so that would be a terrific choice.
Okay, I have I think it would be called a hidden gem of the year. No one's talked about it. I don't hear about it on many top 10 lists, but it's Steven Soderbergh's No Sudden Move with Don Cheadle, Ray Liotta. This movie was cool. It was, it's like a gangster crime film, and it's not like it's like down and gritty, and people die, and it's I liked it. I think I just wanted to highlight this, and because I don't think people are talking about it enough, and I'd say it's like more of like something like Soderbergh, where if you like Out of Sight or Traffic, I'd put it in like kind of that category. And Don Cheadle in the lead is just fantastic, and it was a really great performance, and no one talks about it. So.
All the performances are great. I had that on my honorable mention list. I mean, like, it came out with, big stars and a big director, and it's sort of like they just threw it out there, and I was with it every step of the way. I mean, just on the edge of my seat, and it was a terrific movie. Again, you sort of describe it to somebody, and it's like, well, I've sort of seen that movie before. No, you have a very good director, putting his take on this. And again, Soderbergh, I mean, he runs hot and cold with me. I mean, he'll do something where, it's like, what? And then, he'll do 2 or 3 great things. And he's retired countless times, so he's glad to have him not retired for that one. So.
Yeah, and the Brendan Fraser renaissance continues in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Who is he playing? He's just been cast as something, oh my God. I don't remember, but again, I thought he's cast in that, but I thought, give him a shot. I mean, I like Brendan Fraser. I mean, he didn't, I wouldn't say he's had a lot of great performance, but he was always a likable actor, whether in The Mummy and different things. And, what's the, not Monsters Ball, the one about James Whale.
Gods and Monsters?
Gods and Monsters, that's it. Yeah.
Yes. I'm looking them up now. I'm trying to see what that announcement was. If I can find it really quick on the internet.
Yeah, they're filming it as they speak. Anyway, no, a good choice on No Sudden Moves. Okay.
Well, he's in this Killers of the Flower Moon, which was on the possible Oscars for 2022.
Yeah.
Batgirl he got cast in. And
what's the biographical film? Okay.
Let's see what else.
Maybe we'll touch on that at a later show when that comes up again.
Sure.
Okay. I have something to add, and I suspect it's on your list too, Power of the Dog.
There's a repeat for me.
And, I know Wanda Sykes watched it 3 times but never got through it, but again, and, it's not an easy watch. It's not a happy-go-lucky car chase, whistling happy tune movie, but extremely well done technically, right down the line. Acting, everybody is perfection. I mean, but it's a challenging movie. But again, very worthwhile. I want to watch it again. I mean, now that I've, absorbed the ending, which again was like, wow. No, I definitely want to see it again. I wish I had watched it before the Oscars again, but again, odd that Jane Campion, the only out of 12 nominations, the only thing that wins is director, and I think we talked about that before on our Oscar show. That that you got to go back to Mike Nichols in '67 and George Stevens in '56 to have where the picture with multiple nominations wins one, which is director. But no, beautifully done in all departments.
Yeah, every aspect of filmmaking, it's just an achievement. The acting, the directing, the production, the cinematography. You buy every bit of this movie, and the ending too. I mean, there's other scenes in the film that just stick with you.
Yep.
But I again, not something that everyone can watch, but it's just it's like a typical, I guess, top 10 in an Oscar movie, and but I think it's extremely well done and definitely worth seeing. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your next choice?
Well, mine, this could count as a 2020. I think it was even nominated for a 2020 Oscar, but basically became available for everyone to see in 2021, and it was early 2021, and that is Judas and the Black Messiah. Amazing film, a great history lesson, great lesson on authority, and great just story all over. I mean, great acting in this, and
beautifully cast right down the line for everyone.
Everyone's right on the money, and yeah, I mean, the end is going to get you. You won't believe that it actually happened, but it is real history, and just think it's just people need to see this film, and so that's why it's on my list, and as well as just being a quality, great film. So
yeah, and we'll touch it on when I have some 3 movies that we want to discuss, but it's going to be on my 2020 list. Okay. My next choice is The Tragedy of Macbeth. Now, countless versions, whether it be Orson Welles, the Roman Polanski, recently the Michael Fassbender. It's probably the shortest of the Shakespeare tragedies, and again, in my opinion, the most beautifully photographed of the movies this year. Black and white, the set design incredible, the whole cast. I mean, Denzel Washington gets an Oscar nomination. He's terrific. But Frances McDormand meets him every step of the way. I mean, and something I couldn't have done at the movie theaters because I was able to do it streaming on Apple Plus was that, I hit the subtitles and I know the story, but it was really good to be able to sort of read along with it. And, it meant a lot to me. And again, it's, I think dazzling. I mean, there were 4 dazzlingly photographed black and white movies this year. Tragedy of Macbeth, Come On, Passing, and, my God, what am I leaving out?
Belfast,
yes. I mean, what a renaissance for 4 major movies in black and white that look terrific. But I think Tragedy of Macbeth was visually stunning, and I could watch that over and over. Might have to buy that one.
It's on my honorable mention. So, but yeah, I agree. Everything you said there, I agree with. And I did have to hit the subtitles too, but it helps. All right, I have one more on my list, and it is Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley.
Okay, on my honorable mention, but go ahead.
Okay. I like this film a lot. I don't think it's talked about enough from last year, and it's the acting, it's the directing, it's the production. The beginning in the circus is amazing, and then when he takes the turn and becomes, someone who can speak to those who have passed on, it's just it's a remake of a older film. The older film is a Criterion.
Tyrone Power,
which I hadn't seen, but I will buy that now, and I will probably buy this, and hopefully Criterion will get it, and just enjoyed this film a lot, and wasn't expecting it. I was kind of reluctant. I saw it had dropped on Hulu and HBO, and I was like, well, I kind of wanted to see this. It's Guillermo del Toro, and I just very impressed by that. So Bradley Cooper.
You cannot
is great.
Talk about that movie without talking about Cate Blanchett.
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper was fine. Cate Blanchett, you were not watching anybody else when she's on the screen. She was great. And I like I said, had my honorable mention, and I really liked the first one. And, it follows it relatively closely. Of course, a little more permissiveness in the language and the sexuality and the violence. But again, the first one is an excellent movie. But again, Tyrone Power wanted to do that, do something different. And of course, was not a box office hit because people did not want to see Tyrone Power in that part, as people did not want to see Bradley Cooper in that part. And, but again, technically dazzling. I enjoyed it thoroughly, even though, I kind of knew what was going to happen and did not have a problem with, it being familiar. Again, it isn't, that didn't harm the the viewing experience for me. And my last one, which I think we'll have a disagreement on, is West Side Story. Now, I've always liked the first one. Again, dancing amazing, looked great. I mean, the music is wonderful, but you had some real casting issues there. And you had Richard Beamer, the Tony character, has never been which would call it a hot diggity, a great part. You had Natalie Wood, that famous Puerto Rican actress. I mean, no, and she dubbed by Marnie Nixon, and Richard Beamer dubbed by someone else, and you had George Takiris dubbed by someone else, and Rita Moreno could sing, and most, not all of her part was dubbed by someone else, and it was just, there were issues there, and some of it's dated, and but again, it's considered a great classic, and I enjoy West Side Story. I own the original West Side Story. The new one, you got Tony Kirshner doing an update. It's not an update, but really correcting some of the issues with the screenplay. You have Rita Moreno reappearing in a different part. And, I thought the way they handled the dancing and the casting was excellent. And I thought it, considering I pretty much knew I'd seen it on the stage. I'd seen the original one, several times and own it. And, I just had a great time. And, it's right up there with Being the Ricardos, as, people are thinking, what the heck is Steven Spielberg thinking? We'll redo something, but not West Side Story. I mean, but no, came off, with great reviews. But of course, people just weren't having it. The older audience just wasn't going to see it, and just whatever the reviews were with the pandemic and all, and I just thought it was got a bunch of Oscar nominations and one for supporting actress, which was excellent. But no, I just it's a shame it's going to be considered a failure because it didn't make a lot of money, and that's not our list. Our list is what you really thought was a good movie, and I did. I know you weren't crazy about it, but I was.
Yeah, wasn't crazy about it, but again, you see signature Spielberg flares in there, and not flares, but things he consistently does in film. He plays with light very much in West Side Story. I can appreciate the technical aspects of it. I'm just not I'm not a big musical guy, and I saw it, and I watched it, and so it was good and technically well done, and the cast was great. But no, not gonna make my list. So no.
Okay, why don't you give us just a rundown of your honorable mentions and see if there's something you and I need to discuss on your honorable mentions.
I had Tragedy of Macbeth on my honorable mention, which we kind of discussed. I like that. I mean, it's good. I have Pig, the Nicolas Cage film about he's like a retired chef, and yeah, you don't see movies like that all the time, so that's worth checking out. And I had Don't Look Up, just because of the climate crisis is just such a big deal, and I think this, we need films like this to kind of just highlight that issue more. So those were my honorable mentions. They were Pig, The Tragedy of Macbeth, and Don't Look Up.
Wow. I had quite a few more honorable mentions than you.
I was trying to limit you, Mike, but go ahead.
Yeah, you didn't give me a limit. You did not give me
a handful, but okay. No,
okay, my hand might be larger than yours. Okay. And some of these we've discussed. No Sudden Moves, Zack Snyder's Justice League, House of Gucci, which again, I mean, why the Academy hated it. It was operatic. It was fun. Whether, you had Al Pacino and particularly Jared Leto chewing the scenery. You had Lady Gaga, who was wonderful. The costumes, the story. I mean, it was just a lot of fun. Was it a great movie? Probably not. But again, it goes in that category with I had a good time. Lamb, which people forgot about. Lamb was as creepy a movie as you could find last year. Brilliantly done. I don't know, would it be considered Norwegian? I'm not sure. But
I think it might be.
And Naomi Rapace, I think, is in it. I'm just pronouncing it. Anyway, but no. Oh my! If that doesn't send a chill up your spine, nothing will. I had Passing. Not only wonderful looking, beautifully acted, and an interesting little story, a little movie that got forgotten about at the Oscars. Nightmare Alley, we talked about it. And Worst Person in the World. Now, the thing is, that got a lot of rave reviews. Now, I thought it started a little slow for me. But it kicks in, and then I really liked it. Well acted, interesting story. Another one was, where is this going? And I liked it very much. But so that's sort of my overflowing handful of honorable mentions.
Okay, so let's just do a quick rundown then of your top 10, and then we'll do the worst of the year.
I can't wait.
So, okay, my quick rundown of my top 10 are The Power of the Dog, Nightmare Alley, Judas and the Black Messiah, No Sudden Move, Luca, The French Dispatch, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Dune, Spider-Man No Way Home, and The Rescue. Mike, can you give the viewers or listeners out there your rundown now?
Okay, my top 10 being The Ricardos, Belfast, Card Counter, French Dispatch, Luana, The Yak in the Classroom, Parallel Mothers, Power of the Dog, Spider-Man No Way Home, Tragedy of Macbeth, West Side Story, and then I had my best animated Luca, and then the best documentary Rescue, and then honorable mentions there, Ascension, which I thought was terrific, and Summer of Soul and Attica. Now, give me your worst films of the year.
There are just a handful again. So I have on my worst of, these are movies that I would say avoid at all costs. Tom and Jerry, Red Notice, the Ryan Reynolds and The Rock and Gal Gadot streaming on Netflix movie, just don't. The Woman in the Window, again, you could say the same thing. It's Amy Adams streaming on Netflix. No. And then In the Earth, it suckered me in October. I watched horror movies in October. It said horror, and it was Ben Wheatley is the director, which I kind of like some of his films. And In the Earth, it was seizure-inducing. It was almost torture, and that's kind of what made it more October appropriate above all else. So mine worst of were Tom and Jerry, Red Notice, Woman in the Window, and In the Earth. What do you got, Mike?
Well, my handful is a little bigger, but not much. I have three that the main thing here on these three that, before I get to the other one, are because there was such favorable critical response to these, I didn't get. First, The Green Knight. Almost unwatchable. I mean, and I didn't read a bad review for that. Spencer. I mean, I literally hated the movie, and particularly Kristen Stewart. Not all her fault. I mean, the writing, the directing. I mean, there were things to like. Supporting cast, it looked sort of good. You know, some of the technicals were good, but just an ugly movie all around. And just, you know, some of the reviews, particularly she gets an Oscar nomination. Just no. And then you have Come On, which I mentioned about beautiful black and white. But there's like story there that's maybe 15, 20 minutes, maybe of story, and it goes on, I think, almost 2 hours. And just on and on and on. And I wanted to pace around the auditorium. And cast was fine, the kid, but no. And then you got into three really terrible movies. Those Who Wish Me Dead. And I love Taylor Sheridan. He directed it, wrote it, just a mess with Angelina Jolie.
I agree.
Totally. Just a mess. Yeah. I mean, I just was holding my head thinking, did he lose a bet to make this? I don't know, but it was awful. Reminiscence, an awful movie with Hugh Jackman. Terrible script. I mean, you know, it sounded like it was going to be interesting. No, not interesting. And then you had, oh my God, Matrix Resurrections.
Oh, boy.
There's a lot of money on that. And boy, I came close to walking out on that. Just came close. And I mean, I really liked the first Matrix, the two sequels, not so much. And this third sequel goes along with those other two. Completely unnecessary and just spent a lot of money. And boy, they should have fed homeless children with that. I'd not just spent it on that. But, yeah, I'm surprised Green Knight wasn't on your list. What's wrong with that? I mean, where is that? All of a sudden you changed your mind.
I think I like Green Knight a little bit more than you did. But I would agree. I think it was probably a very overrated, very overpraised film. So, Yeah. No, I don't think it made the cut though, for my worst though. I just
Well, we'll make you watch that again. We'll see what you think.
okay. Did you like?
Clockwork Orange
Quick
you can see.
question. Did you do a count of all the films you saw in 2021 to date? Did you do a count?
No, I did not. I mean, I probably should have, but no, I did not.
Okay. Well, mine
I
was
mean, there's
80.
only a few that I really wanted to see that I missed. I wanted to see Red Rocket, missed that. I wanted to see Cyrano, missed that. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm sure there's a few others, but in general, I was pretty good. Particularly, back in the day, sometimes, if you didn't see it at the theaters, you were lost. Excuse me. But now with streaming, more or less you can catch up on a lot of things. And like Worst Person in the World, I didn't go to the movies, but I just paid for it on demand and watched it and was glad I did. But so it's a lot easier to catch up with things that are sort of hard to see. But no, there was just a few that sort of slipped through the cracks for me. But
Okay. Yeah, there's still a few I got to catch up. I did 84 films from last year. Probably add a couple of that because I've caught up on a couple things. But I've yet to see Belfast and Licorice Pizza were big ones I missed.
Yeah, we didn't discuss Licorice Pizza, but now see, I saw Licorice Pizza. Now, I loved Paul Thomas Anderson when you go back to There Will Be Blood, Hard Eight, Magnolia, Boogie Nights. Then he started to lose me at The Master. I mean, as far as I thought the acting was good, it looked good, story I had issues with. And then you had Inherent Vice, which I thought was just awful. Great cast, just wasted, terrible movie. And then you had, what am I leaving out? What was right after Inherent Vice? There was something. Oh, Phantom Thread. I don't want to be a spoiler, but I love you so much I will poison you. That movie. I'll poison you twice. But again, I thought technically,
I love Phantom Thread. I've watched that movie.
I think the
love
acting is terrific. It looks amazing, but I mean, just the physical story of that lost me. Now, you get into Licorice Pizza. Again, it was shot to look like an 80s movie. Cast, more or less, very good. Particularly Bradley Cooper as playing John Peters and Sean Penn more or less playing William Holden. Amazing, two small parts. The two leads, very good. My issue with it, again, I enjoyed it. I liked it. As a 20-minute short, once again, you go over 2 hours with this movie, and there's really not a whole lot of meat on those bones. I mean, it's just sort of almost like a piece of fluff. If somebody had told me Paul Thomas Anderson had directed it, I would have said, really? I mean, no. And, it got some rave reviews, and some people voted Best Picture of the Year and stuff, and I'm thinking, oh my God, did they see the same movie I did? I certainly did not hate it, did not like it. I mean, I wanted to like it better. The more I thought about it, I thought, I wish I'd liked it better. But again, script, and it won script from some things. They was very close, I'm sure, to winning script because they figured they owe Paul Thomas Anderson with all its nominations and never a win. But, no, I was, I wish it had a stronger story. I mean, if you're going to do that kind of movie, shorter is better, and I don't think shorter is in Paul Thomas Anderson.
Well, when I catch it, we'll discuss. I'll give my take on it too. So when I eventually catch up on that, yeah. But there was a few other big movies I didn't catch, like Ghostbusters. I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen the Halloween Kills.
Both of them very disappointing. Very disappointing.
Yeah, but other than that, I'll catch up on things, and of course we'll discuss them when we do our usual weekly show. And so what I think we're gonna do, and just for sake of time here, Mike, we'll wrap up 2021 here, and then we'll do our own, a separate show for 2020, just because we're coming up on an hour now. So I think that'll be a good plan. We'll give people a break. They can then watch our 2020, and we can spend a little bit more time on those movies then too, instead of rushing through things. So, again, we're going to wrap up here, Mike. Anything else you want to add then for 2021?
No. Again, as we've discussed privately, I don't think it was a great year for movies. I think it was a good year. When I went over the list and I was going down the things I saw, there was lots of interesting things and things I liked. But, was there something I went, oh my God, that movie made my year. I mean, I don't know. Again, like I said, I don't think a great movie year, but not a terrible movie year. I mean, but let's say not the best.
Yeah.
Not 1939.
No, I agree. No, not 1939. No, I would agree with that. Not great, but yeah, some of these may hold up and
Yeah.
be talked
Remains
about
to be seen.
years.
Yeah.
But so okay, Mike, we'll wrap it up here, and so look forward to a show on 2020. We'll cover that pandemic year in a show, and then we'll start up our weekly show where Mike and I will discuss the movies we've seen recently. There could be things in theaters. It could be things we're catching up on. It could be rewatches we've done, and so we'll discuss things like that, and then we'll look ahead and see what we're looking forward to seeing coming out, and then we might do a little quick news and trailers segment where we discuss like any kind of movie news and any new trailers that have hit the web. So, Mike, anything to add before we go?
No, other than can't we wait for the Michael Bay ambulance? We have a disagreement on the Michael Bay.
We'll discuss that in another show because I just caught up on a Michael Bay movie I hadn't seen to prepare
what was
for
that?
Ambulance. So, what
movie did you catch up on?
People will have to catch that in the next show. We'll leave that as a little tease for the next show. So, okay. So we'll wrap it up, Mike. Thanks for being with me here today.
You bet. Have a great time.
And we'll see you guys on our 2020 show, and then on our regular weekly show where we discuss movies, old and new. All right, Mike, take care. Have a good night. Talk to you later. All right,
bye-bye.
Bye.